How do you define your roles? How do you define your roles? Or maybe we should start with a different question. Have you heard of title imposed roles? Title imposed roles? This is a term that we coined some years ago to help us deal with the greatest cause of stress in the workplace. We call it title imposed roles. Let me explain. In every job, in every function, you're given a title. You're often given a title. You meet someone in church, and after a few nice words of conversation, you ask them, "What do you do?" And they give you their title. Now, embedded in that title are many, many different roles. And they each come with its own set of expectations and demand that are based on the assumptions of other people, of what that role meant to them in their previous lives or as they see it in society, but often also based on their own needs and expectations at that one given time. And that's a cause for stress. Let's take, for example, the title of a pastor. A pastor. And based on his organization, his denominational structure, the congregation that he leads, the community in which he lives, and the people as involved in all of this. Some would expect him to be a good preacher. Some expect him to be a good organizer, an administrator, a comforter, a fundraiser, a problem solver, a peacemaker, a mentor, a friend, a resource. And all of these are good roles, my friends. But no one can meet all of these expectations. You see, some of these roles are a good fit for that pastor's God-given strength and talents. And he loves them. And they energize him. But then there are many other roles that are not a good fit to his God-given strength. And they drain him, and he hates them. And they are a formula for overloaded lives. So if you're that pastor, or if you have a title of a doctor, a nurse, a politician, a carpenter, a plumber, a homemaker, every one of us have title imposed roles based on the assumptions and expectations of other people. So what do you do with title imposed roles? You acknowledge them because they are real. They are real in the mind of the people around you. So you acknowledge them, but then be very intentional on focusing on the roles that are a best fit for your God-given strength. Research in the strength psychology movement prove without any doubt that if you focus on the roles that are a good match to your strength, you're 300% more likely to report having an excellent quality of life, 600% more likely to be engaged in the work you do, and much more profitable. So we've shared with you the why you need to define your role. We've shared with you the why you need to define your role. Now we'd like to share with you the how you do it. And here we're going to give you a thinking and planning as well as a communication tool. It's a 5-part framework that we hope will help you in defining and focusing on your role. So if you're that pastor with all of his many title imposed roles, we ask you to think of your top 3 roles. The top 3 roles where you feel God will want you to focus on. The first part of that framework is name it so you can aim it. Name it so you can aim it. You see, unless you give it a name, you cannot focus on it. We say, if it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a home. If it doesn't have a name, it doesn't have a home. So you need to give it a name that you understand, a name that you appreciate, a name that you can explain to other people. Now, once you have that name, then you start by giving that role its responsibilities. And the responsibilities are defined by the goals you must achieve. And I hope you're familiar with the term SMART goals: specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and time-dependent. So every goal must be well defined. And friends, goals assigned to many are seldom done by any. The goal must be assigned to you. Yes, you could collaborate with other people, and we'll come to that later on. but you are the one who owns that goal. You're the one who owns that goal. You're the one who owns that area of responsibility. The third part of the framework is your strength. What are your God-given strengths that you bring to that role? What are your God-given strengths that you bring to your role? And your strengths are defined by your talent, your knowledge, your skills, and the experience. And if you do not know your strength, we have a whole course that's available online. We will be glad to send you so you can learn your God-given strength. The fourth part of that model is the people. No role has a role gains its value through the relationships you have. No man is an island. And here we encourage you to think of two different types of people. Some we're going to call your partners, others we're going to call them your clients. So here, let's picture you are performing a drama. You are part of a drama team. Part of that team are many other people. We call them your partners. It could be the orchestra and the conductor. It could be the person selling tickets at the door. It could be the ushers. It could be the person handling the lighting. All of these are your partners. And they need to understand your role, and you need to know how you collaborate and communicate with them effectively. The other group of people are what we call them your clients. These are the people who pay the tickets and come and sit in the pews and listen to you and are energized by the role you play. They are blessed and empowered because of the role you play. So we need to define the roles very, very clearly because they are part of your focus. The fourth one and the final one is empowerment. And empowerment comes in the form of the resources that you need to play your role well. It could be your costume. It could be the microphone you're going to use on the stage if you're performing a drama. But the other part that's very often neglected or not communicated well is time. How much time do you need to perform that role? It's not only the time that you are on the stage, but the time that you need to rehearse, to memorize the script, to practice the singing. All of this need to be accounted for. Now, we're going to give you a model, a thinking model, to help you do that. We've talked about why. Now we get to dig a little deeper into the how part of it. And here we like you to think of your role as a project. You see, all of life is a project, my friend. From the day you were born until the day they put you in a box, your life is a project. So here we'd like you to think of your role as a project. Short-term projects. We all encourage you to begin to take each of these roles and build a 30, 60, and a maximum of 90-day projects. You can break it down into multiple projects if you need to. But you need to keep it short-term. Why short-term? Because the world around you is changing very, very fast. The people around you are changing. And if you keep your project to 30, 60, or 90 days, it gives you an ability to contain the unrealistic expectations and make it more reasonable. So we always think of 30, 60, and 90-day projects. You know, even in my days when I used to lead very large, complex projects which involved millions of dollars, we always broke them down into 90-day segments. Because this way we can track progress. We can avoid surprises that can derail us and discourage us. So we're going to give you a template. It's a Microsoft Excel workbook that you can use. And we're going to walk with you how this model relates to this template one by one. The first entry in that template would be name it. If you don't name it, my friend, it doesn't have a home. So if you are that pastor and your first role that you want to play is counselor. The second part is what's the goal you want to accomplish? What's the goal you want to accomplish in this 90 days? So for example, counsel Jane, Jim, Matt, and Laurie. That's specific. And is this something you can achieve in 90 days? It's a 90-day counseling plan for these 5 special people that God has placed in your life. As a counselor, you need to be much more intentional and focused. The next part is, what are the talents that God has given you that qualifies you to be an excellent counselor? What are the talents? What's the knowledge, the skills, and the experience? Folks, I feel sorry for a lot of pastors who do a lot of counseling, but they're really not equipped for that. They don't have the talent, the knowledge, and the skill. They were trained in Bible schools to be evangelists and preachers, but most of their life is spent doing counseling, and it drains them because they don't have the strength for it. The last part, who are your partners and who are your clients? Jane, Jim, and so on may be your clients, but who are the partners that help you, support you in that place? Because you may be doing counseling as a spiritual counseling, dealing with their spiritual life, but maybe they have financial issues and that you are not capable of dealing with. So is there a financial advisor that can collaborate with you? Is there a marriage therapist? Is there a psychologist involved in that process of helping that couple or that person as you counseled with them? Then comes the last part of the process. And the last part of that process involves the empowerment. The empowerment. And here you list the tasks, the time you need to prepare for every counseling session that you're going to have. For every task that you're going to do, you need to list who is going to do it. Is it you are going to do it? Or is it the financial analyst, the financial advisor, or the marriage counselor? You put a plan. And this comes in the form of a Gantt chart. A Gantt chart is a tool that most project managers use to set realistic expectations of the sequence of events. And every one of them you indicate the effort, how many hours it's likely to take. It's not only the time that this pastor spends in counseling Pat, Jane, and Jim, and Julie. It's the time he has to prepare before they come, the time he has to prepare after they leave, to write his notes, and all of this needs to go into that Excel spreadsheet. And in it you list the start and end time. So supposing Pastor Jim, his role is to be an evangelist or a preacher. Preparing a series of messages is a process that involves many different tasks over a time horizon. And if we don't plan for them well, I can assure you, you will be subject to an overloaded life. Well, I hope we have shared with you a model, a thinking and communication model, along with a tool to help you start the process of defining your best roles. Define them as a project. Define them as a project. Remember, God does not delight in seeing his children overloaded. God does not want you to be a victim of title-imposed roles. As you work through this, if we can help you in any way, please give us a call. God bless you and have a wonderful day.